Good morning and good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Monica Nirmala. I'm a Fulbright scholar and a public health professional from Indonesia. It's a great honor and I'm humbled to be here with you all, and I thank you for this opportunity. First, I personally would like to thank the people of the United States of America. Your support and generosity through US scholarships enabled me to obtain a Master of Public Health degree from Harvard University. It is a privilege to now return to the US virtually as a part of this briefing. I wish, of course, we could all be together in person. During 1.5 years of my master's program, I experienced the beauty and the diversity of the United States. I was able to visit 23 states, from Alaska, Washington to California. I even took the Amtrak train all the way from Seattle to Boston and made several stops along the way. Along that journey, my favorite places were your national parks and nature preserves, including Yosemite and Sequoia in California, Denali in Alaska, and Glacier in Montana. I'm amazed with your commitment to preserve and take care of the remaining forests in your country. However, this journey made me reflect and realize that sadly, this level of nature preservation has not been the case in my home country, Indonesia, where forests, sometimes even in protected areas, are logged and burned every year. In some places, converted into monoculture plantations to meet global demand for palm oil, pulp, and paper at the expense of our own health. Since 2012, I've worked for the Indonesian nonprofit Alam Sehat Lestari or ASRI in Borneo, Indonesia, which partners with the US nonprofit Health in Harmony. Our planetary health approach is designed through a partnership with rainforest communities. We provide healthcare, training in alternative livelihoods, education, and reforestation projects that have been effective in improving the health of the people and the forests. The rainforests in Borneo are known as the lungs of the earth. Every year, these lungs suffocate from intentionally set fires, which are used by companies and farmers to clear forests and peatland to prepare land for palm oil plantations. These fires are technically illegal, but enforcement has been lax, especially compared to the scale of the problem. Palm oil is used in a variety of consumer goods sold around the world, from packaged food and chocolates to personal care products and makeup. Perhaps less well known is that palm oil is also a major source of biofuel all around the world. US policies, such as the Renewable Fuel Standard, have played a significant role in driving demand for palm oil-based biofuels. The consequences have far-reaching effects for the climate, wildlife, and people. In 2015, the fires in Borneo and Sumatra spread out of control. It was hot and dry, the haze was thick, and breathing for even the healthiest of us was made difficult. Visibility was limited. I remember I could not even see a hill 500 meters behind our clinic. ASRI Clinic is a 20-bed facility offering primary health care to a population of 120,000 people. And at this time, we saw a 48% increase in the number of patients with respiratory distress, and the demand for oxygen support tripled during that time. One smoky day in October of 2015, Ibu Siti, a 65-year-old woman with chronic lung disease, and her husband Pak Syarif came to our clinic. Ibu Siti presented with severe respiratory distress and an altered mental status due to smoke inhalation caused by the raging fires near her home. For the past 6 hours, Ibu Siti had been agitated, somnolent, and unable to communicate. Her oxygen saturation was critically low at 79%. She could die if not urgently treated. After a few hours of treatment, Pak Syarif begged to take his wife back home. even though she was still very ill. Through tears, he told us, "Please let me bring her home. I have no money to pay. I'll have to cut down trees and sell wood to pay for her treatment today." We doctors were shocked, yet we insisted on keeping her at our clinic and told him about our alternative non-cash payment method, that he could pay for care in our clinic with tree seedlings that our conservation team would later use to reforest the burned land within the national park. He appreciatively agreed, and thankfully, after 3 days of hospitalizations, Ibu Siti survived. Sadly, not all were so lucky. An estimated 100,000 people in Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia died prematurely from exposure to toxic haze in 2015. The cost to Indonesia's economy was also great, totaling a GDP loss of $16 billion. Last summer's fires were the worst since that 2015 episode. They consumed 4 million acres of land and cost Indonesia an estimated loss of 0.5% GDP, and resulted in thousands more illnesses and deaths. Smoke exposure, especially the very toxic small particles called PM2.5, are associated with a variety of health outcomes, such as systemic and pulmonary inflammation, reduced birth weight, reduced lung function, increased hospital admissions, and elevated population mortality. There are long-term consequences as well. Recent research finds that the toxic haze from Indonesia's 1997 forest fires caused stunting in over 1 million babies. And now I'm very worried about how much more suffering and deaths from respiratory illnesses will occur if people are exposed to both haze and COVID this year, as it is now the start of dry season and Indonesia has yet to reach its estimated COVID peak. Forest fire and haze are also a potential threat to the crucial biodiversity that keeps forests naturally healthy. Gibbons, for example, sing less frequently in smoky conditions, which could interfere with their reproduction. Orangutans frequently get burned alive in raging forest fires and their habitats destroyed. In fact, scientists believe that the forest fires episode of 2015 could have wiped out as much as a third of the world's remaining endangered orangutans. Of course, all those ancient trees and carbon-rich peatlands going up in flames is a climate disaster as well, adding huge amounts of CO2 to the atmosphere. To put this in perspective, daily emissions from Indonesia's forest fire in October 2015 exceeded the daily emissions of the entire United States economy. Needless to say, this wiped out any carbon benefits of using the palm oil-derived biofuels in the US. As we recognize the interconnectivity of forests, human health, and the whole planet, we start to see that the traditional beliefs of indigenous populations are being proven true by science. Many people in Borneo culturally believe that when they disturb the balance of nature, diseases will come their way. And they were absolutely right. 1% forest loss in Indonesia leads to a 10% increase in malaria. And firstborn babies whose mothers experience forest loss during pregnancy have higher risk of dying than their siblings. Though people living near the forests deeply understand the importance of rainforests for their lives and future generations, they often do not have any other choice except to cut down the trees to meet their basic needs, including healthcare. Pak Wasru had to log the forest to pay for an appendectomy for his father. Pak Sofyan cut down 60 trees to pay for a C-section for his mother. But from our experience, when these people will truly listen to and given an alternative to their livelihoods, they happily gave up their chainsaws for good. We can make a change in the lives of every single one of us, from America to Indonesia, by working towards producing international market value goods in a responsible and sustainable manner. Deforestation can also cause pandemics. Proximity between humans and wildlife is known to cause zoonosis, where diseases from animals jump to humans. And how can any of us now forget that deadly infections anywhere on the planet can be just one plane ride away? Also, do you realize where COVID-19 came from? Scientists have documented research that coronaviruses jumped from bats to most likely pangolins and then to humans. From 2010 to 2015, 83% of illegally traded pangolins were actually from Indonesia. So I started to wonder, was the wildlife sold in the wet market in Wuhan originally from forests in Indonesia? So when I say that the deforestation happening in Indonesia is done at the expense of our health, it does not mean only the health of my people in Indonesia, but it also means all our health, including yours and your families. This is the story of global interconnectivity. What you decide in Washington, D.C. tremendously affects us halfway around the planet, which then comes back to affect you. What we decide, what Pak Sharif, Pak Wasru, Pak Sofian decide, also affects us all. During my Fulbright time in the US, I was told that my role was to increase mutual understanding between our countries to make our world a better place. So, as much as I admire your commitment to preserve nature in your country, I feel compelled now more than ever to ask you to go beyond that. Let us together create a safer and healthier future for us all. We must learn to live more in balance with nature for all of our future survival and health. Thank you for your attention.